Today I would like to share with you a math extension activity to the story Apple Farmer Annie. Now this is an activity that I would strongly suggest be conducted during a small group of about 4 children. And some of the skills that the children will be working on is their counting skills and using simple addition. And those skills are aligned with our Florida Early Learning and Developmental Standards under the domain of mathematical thinking. All right, let's talk about the materials that we're going to use for this activity. I have here my green apples and my red apples. Don't worry about it if you don't have these apples. You can always use apple cutouts or pom-pom balls. Just be creative with it. I have my pie pan. As I suggested, maybe a group of about 4 children during this activity, so you want to make sure that you have a pie pan for each child. You also want to make sure in advance that you have enough apples for each child so that they can engage in the activity at the same time. I have my rolling pin here. I have my dough. Now normally when I did this activity with the children in the classroom, I would let the children make the dough in advance out of flour and oil. But for this activity with me sharing it with you today, I'm going to use the natural colored Play-Doh. I have my little toy knife here for the children to use. But today I am going to use my pizza cutter here because it's a little bit easier for me. I also have my cinnamon. I already have my cinnamon in my bowl here. I have my math ingredient charts, and I have a different chart for each child, so they'll be counting different amounts. I have my hair dryer here, my blow dryer, and I know you're wondering, what are you going to do with a blow dryer? So after the kids put the pie together, we have to talk about how we're going to cook the pie. So I have a makeshift oven that I made out of a box that I got from the Dollar Tree. And it has my timer here that we're going to set for 30 seconds. And it's just one of those boxes just made just like this. It's already attached, and what I did was just turn it the opposite direction. And this is the inside of my oven. And then I just found these little wall sticker things in Dollar Tree for $1 that I added to the box to make the oven look a little bit more attractive. I have my hole in the back of the box for the oven, so that when we talk to the kids about cooking the pie, they can understand that the oven has to be warm in order to cook the pie. So my blow dryer will go into here once we get into cooking the pie. All right, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is tell the children the goal of the activity, that they're going to be using their counting skills and doing some simple addition to count and use their ingredient chart. Let them know they're going to look at their ingredient chart, and they're going to see how many apples, red apples and green apples, they need to go inside of their pie. And then you want to define the word ingredient. Let them know that that word means the things that you are adding together to make something when you're cooking. So we have our apples here, our green apples, our red apples. This right here represents the number of lattice that they need to put across their pie. And the spoons represent how much cinnamon they need to add to their pie. So let's get started. I guess we'll use this card here as a sample for you today. So the first thing I want to do though, I want to actually roll up my dough a little bit more. So kids will love using the rolling pin. So you can use the large rolling pins, or you can go to the Dollar Tree and get the little smaller ones so that each child can have their rolling pin and you can all do the activity together. So I'm just rolling this out a little bit more, just so that when we get ready to cut our lattice strips, they're wide enough. Just wide enough for that. I had rolled it out a little bit previously, so just a little bit more. So they're also using their fine motor skills and their hand muscles while they're doing this activity as well. But the focus is the math part of it. Okay, now that we have our dough rolled out a little bit, we're going to look at the chart. So you're going to say to the child, how many green apples will you need to put into your pie? And hopefully if that child can't identify that number, maybe you can scaffold a little bit by encouraging them to count the green apples. Let's count them and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you need 5 green apples. I want you to count each apple as you add it to your pan. Let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, how many red apples will you need as an ingredient in your pie? 1, 2. This is the number 2. Let's add our red apples. 1, 2. Now, these are our lattice strips. You're going to need lattice to cover your pie. But before we cover our pie, let's put the number 5 and the number 2 together to see how many apples in all we have in our pie. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 apples in your apple pie. Now, we're going to talk to the kids and let them know how many strips of lattice do you need to cover your pie. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need 6 lattice strips. So then you can allow the child to get the knife and actually cut. Encourage the child to say the number as they cut. Actually, I'm going to use my pizza over here, pizza cutter. 1. So, I mean, you can let the kids do this by themselves so that the other kids are not waiting and all the kids are doing it at the same time. And then after they've done the activity, you can kind of go back and look and see if they actually were able to cut the amount of strips of lattice that they have on their ingredient card. So there's 1 strip there. This pizza cut is much easier for me. 2. We need 6 lattice strips. Keep going, just to encourage the child to keep actively participating in the activity. 3. 4. We need 6. 5. 1 more. My lattice strip's not exactly straight, but that's okay. 6. Now the children can either lay them across this way or they can, lay the strips across however they choose. So I'm just gonna take one of these up and kind of go across the pie. Sticky here. I'm actually gonna tear this in half. Not the prettiest pie, but it'll work. Now go back to your ingredient chart and let the children know these spoons represent how many spoons of cinnamon that you need to put on top of your pie. The cinnamon is one of the ingredients for your pie. How many spoons of cinnamon will you need? Let's count them. 1, 2. So each child will have their own spoon, their own bowl of cinnamon that they can add to the pie. Let's sprinkle our cinnamon across. Cinnamon smells really good. Don't worry about the cinnamon on your Play-Doh. The worst thing possible, you'll just have cinnamon scented Play-Doh. And I think the kids will actually like that. 2. So we've added our cinnamon and we have added all the ingredients to our pie. Then you can talk to the children about, now that we've added all of our ingredients, how can we cook the pie? What do we need in order to cook the pie? And that's when you can take out the oven and let the children know that we're going to take turns using the oven to cook our pie. So I'm going to get my oven here. I'm going to ask the child to place the pie in the oven, but you want to remind the children we never mess with the oven without adult supervision. So I'm going to place my pie in the oven here, nice and pretty. I'm going to close my oven up. Now we're going to cook our pie. We have 30 seconds. So when you hear the timer, your pie is done. Let's turn on our timer. I have my blow dryer here. That is that cinnamon flavor. Oh, look at, you smell the aroma of the cinnamon. The cinnamon is actually filling the room right now, so you can talk to the children about the aroma and ask them, can they smell it? Can you use your nose to smell the aroma of the apple pie? Can you see my pie in the oven? Let me open it up a little bit so you can see. So when the timer goes off, the pie will be done. We have a few more seconds here. Smells really good in here. A few more seconds. All right, done. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna lift this up a little bit. Check my timer here. So you all didn't actually probably hear my timer go off because of the noise of the blow dryer. So you want to tell the children, what will we use to take our pie out of the oven? And then, you know, some of them may or may not know what it is that they use. Maybe they have seen their parents use something at home to remove things, so they may actually know what the item is called that you remove things from the oven with, or maybe they don't. So we're going to tell them we have our pot holders. And the reason we have these is because when we're taking something hot out of the oven, we want to keep our hands protected and keep our hands from getting burnt. So we're going to use our pot holder here to take our pie out of the oven. Voila! Oh, it smells delicious. The aroma of the pie smells absolutely delicious. Put my oven over here. And then at the end of the activity, you want to ask the children to tell you what is it that they did during the activity. Hopefully they can tell you that we counted apples and we added the apples to our pie as an ingredient, and then we combined the apples to see how many we had. So you actually did some addition. So with that being said, that concludes our activity. You can take this activity even further, asking the children about, you know, have you ever baked an apple pie at home with your mom or your grandmother? What ingredients did you use? What was it like? So you can take this activity even further than the math skills itself. So thank you for joining me. I hope you find this activity very useful in your classroom. And until next time, see you later.